Like, who taught you to love the process?
Gary V. No, but he talk about that. But the thing is like, those aren't only words, because I apply it to my own life. And it's like, wow, that makes so much sense. That's why I'm able to just stick with it and just be consistent. And by the way, like, consistency doesn't mean seeing the same results every day, the same good results. Like, consistency can be like, okay, like I just posted something and bombed, I'll try again tomorrow, and just keep doing it. You have to just keep at it. The biggest thing that you don't see with people who are entrepreneurs, who want to be entrepreneurs, who want it right now, like 5 seconds from when they start, is consistency. And then you have people who have good ideas and they don't execute. So you have to obviously execute your idea, but you also have to be patient at consistency. So in order to have patience and consistency, you have to love what you do. You have to love the journey, appreciate it. And I think that that's what goes a long way in being successful.
How are entrepreneurs like us daring bravely to build a stage, ditch the sweatpants, and step up to the mic? How do we create our own transformative events so we can get our message out into the world in a bigger way? It's not only profitable, but it's actually something we can be proud of. That's the question. And the answers are inside this podcast. My name is Sarah Pfeiffer. Welcome to Greenroom Central. Today I brought into Greenroom Central Studios Benny Gold, attorney, founder of Lawyer Stories, and host of the Lawyer Stories podcast, where he passionately shares the inspiring journeys of legal professionals, celebrating their motivations and challenges on the path to practicing law. Benny, welcome to Greenroom Central Studios. Say hello to Linchpin Nation.
Linchpin Nation, how you doing?
Benny, I've been looking forward to this. Your podcast is definitely climbing the charts, and it's super impressive to me as a fellow podcaster to just see someone else succeed and so quickly out of the gate. And I'm just,
thank you.
I'm humbled. Like, I watch you and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so good. This is amazing.
Really?
I love it. I love that you're setting such a great example. And I think what it is that you're such a great interviewer. You have this natural curiosity that's just next level. And From the outside looking in, I definitely think that's a superpower of yours. And I appreciate watching it.
Wow, this is like the nicest thing anybody said to me in like years. Thank you very much. Well, no, I'm just kidding.
So I think it's going to be fun for me to turn the tables and interview you. How does it feel sitting in the guest seat for a change?
Yeah, it's not bad. The pressure's off. I don't have any
right?
notes.
Yeah.
Well, I do have like a couple little bit.
Okay, I thought we'd start off by having a little fun and asking you to tell me a story. So I think it takes a lot to put yourself out there and build your own stage, so to speak. And you've started hosting your own events in your business. What fills you with the most gratitude when you get done putting on an event and you look back at what you just did?
Yeah, so we are recently, I don't know if I want to call it the event space, but yes, we have had some events. We've done like Miami a couple times, Manhattan, we were there this summer. We did Boston in November, which is cool. And so, just like people coming out, to the event, making the effort, I think one thing that is definitely like really, really cool about it. I appreciate everybody who comes out, but I had especially in New York City, there were like 5 or 6 people who were on my podcast who did episodes with me that I'd never met, but it's just like, I formed these relationships with people like during the episode. Cause I study what they do a little bit before. I don't want to just ask questions. So, and we have these chats, and then we talk before the episode, we talk a little after the episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just become like friendly, and that kind of fills me up. And like, and they come walking through the door, like, at the New York event, like we're giving each other hugs, like we've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
And for me, like leaving with like these friends, like I literally had like a guys' night in New York. Like I had one fraternity brother there who's a partner in a huge Manhattan firm now. And then like 4 other guys who I had met through Lawyer Stories who came to the event and were like, hey, yeah, let's just go hang out at the hotel. And so like, I needed it so bad. So like, I had so much gratitude for like these people who came out, and like, it's okay to like make friends when you're like a little bit, that's a whole other issue, right? Like making friends when you're a little bit like older or whatnot, but it's just been, it's been great. Like that was something I was just kind of filled with gratitude about and pride.
It is a whole other level making friends when you're not in school, right? And I think
Yes.
that as an adult, making new friends, but I think doing things like this, where we're getting into our passions by hosting podcasts, we're naturally drawing in the people who we would be friends with, right? And so it's kind of making it a little easier. And then by throwing the events, you're actually
Right.
kind of taking it offline and making it, in real life. And oh, I love that. That's really beautiful.
Thanks.
It,
Yeah, the events
no,
have been incredible. I'll let you go ahead and
tell me more. Like, tell me more about what, like, maybe what kind of what was the domino that made you think, okay, I'm going to go through the effort and put this together to get my community together, because
yeah.
it's
So
not easy.
yeah, like I was actually doing like Zoom events. If you go through like the feed, the Lawyer Stories feed, you'll see like me and somebody else putting on like a Zoom. Hey, come do a happy hour with us like on a Friday night. And this
Yeah.
was even, I think it was like even before COVID, you know. And then like we did it over COVID a couple times, and it was like, you know, these like random people would like show up in the waiting room. They'd be from like other countries, and you'd have like, you know, 10 or 15 people going around just like introducing each other
Yeah.
and like, you know, having a drink or whatever. And then, you know, I think my wife Karen was like very encouraging about, you have
Mm.
to meet these people. Like you have to meet some of these people. Like you got to go out and do this. And so it really started in like 2020, I believe,
Yeah.
or 2000. I think it was 2020 in Miami. Like it was a little fireside chat. Like some shout out to Kristen Corpy, and she asked me a few questions, like the prompt, like what
Oh,
Lawyer
yeah.
Stories was, and there were, you know, we had a decent amount of people there. Like I don't know, it was a good starters group, and I just from then it was like, you know, like I think I've made enough like contacts in like Miami, in like New York City, in Boston, where I want to try to like do something, like have a little bit of like a happy hour. Let's start
Yeah.
it there. Let's see what happens. And honestly, like the day of and the week leading up to it, I get so fired up for to have an event. Like I'm so excited. Like,
Really?
you know, I was in like Miami. I drove down to Miami by myself. Like I was just really, I just get really excited to meet people and be able to watch people connect with each other and say, oh, you know, I saw you on the podcast, or I saw your feature on Lawyer Stories. So that really is something that I've like tapped into that I genuinely enjoy.
I'm sensing you're a connector.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I lived in New Haven, Connecticut for a few years. I practiced law there, and we had a pool. We had a beautiful building. There was a pool on the sixth floor. One of my good friends would come visit sometimes from Manhattan. He'd take the train in, and he was joking around with me, but I'd be like introducing the people from the building,
Hmm.
because everybody would go to the building. It was like a lot of Yale kids and whatnot. We'd all be like having drinks and stuff on the weekend at the pool. So my friend would say, he would be like, he'd not be laughing, but he's a childhood friend, like one of my best friends. So he was like playfully like calling me like a social broker, because I'd be like introducing to everybody. And then I would make fun of him and be like, yeah, man, you're leaving and you're going to have everybody here on Facebook. You know, you'll have like 10 new Facebook friends. But so it was, I didn't take offense. I thought that was like an interesting concept, like social broker. Like that's
Yeah.
funny, like real funny, you know? And then like looking back like 10 years later, I'm like, whoa, like actually that like makes sense a little bit, you know, because like people come to me sometimes or, hey, do you know a lawyer here? Do you know a lawyer there? I need somebody to do this. I need somebody to like
Yes.
do that. I'm like, yeah, actually I do know somebody. Now I have somebody for you in my back pocket, you know, that I'm connected with and I would trust to do this work. So
Yeah.
it was sort of one of those things where I was doing it back then. Like I wanted my friends to meet everybody, and
Hmm.
I started this like softball team, and I knew everybody was coming together. And I think that actually is something that I played into it. It was a strength. So I went with one of my strengths, and I think that really has helped me out.
Mm. Yeah. Because how did you connect the dots of like that's, um, like that you value connecting people and to do it in this format of
Yeah. So
podcasting?
yeah, well, so you know, beyond the podcasting, like Lawyer Stories started as a passion project. on Instagram in 2017. I think I turned to my wife. We were dating at the time, or she was like my fiance or something. I was like, look, I'm going to start this thing on Instagram. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I started with like 5 people that I knew and just started going and going and going. I didn't know what it was at first. And it was like, okay, like, but I was really consistent and passionate. It was a passionate project. And then I realized, like, after a couple of years, like what it was, and people just like an attorney to attorney sort of like network. And so, and more than that, I mean, we're doing more for people, obviously, than just like introducing them. But that's sort of how I realized that that was something that I enjoyed doing. Connecting people who need somebody else.
You know, I did this really cool journaling exercise from a book I just finished reading by Evan Carmichael. It's called Built to Serve, and it's an exercise that helps you uncover the word that really drives you and kind of makes you kind of all about who you are and why you serve in the world. And the word that came out for me was care. And I just feel this deep sense of satisfaction when I care for others. And that I think that my expression of that in one way is gathering people and now also teaching people how to gather people. Like I just feel like so fulfilled in that. And so you're saying to me that you're sensing that that Lawyer Stories is kind of fulfilling your sense of purpose to connect people and essentially making your business, the business of Lawyer Stories, an extension of you. And does that feel true to you, putting it that way?
I mean, I describe Lawyer Stories as like a very personal thing. I mean, it was started because, you know, I had my own journey to becoming an attorney, and which wasn't linear. You know, and I wanted to hear other people's stories. And I think like the connection part of it, it's kind of, there's a lot of like different layers to it, right? Like some of it is me I don't, for my living right now, I mean, I used to practice law. I'm an executive director of a quasi-governmental agency, a few of them. And so my connection with the law is really with Lawyer Stories and seeing what's going on, the trends, the legal tech, the talking to lawyers, knowing thousands, hundreds of lawyers, whatever. And then, you know, there's another layer that's like, okay, like I really like introducing people to each other, like, and doing that whole thing. So, you know, there's like a lot to it. I mean, another layer would be, I love to make people feel good about themselves. I mean, you talk about care, that's your word.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's, you know, there's so many things out there, so many shows, so many platforms that are adversarial, and they want to challenge everything that people say. And even a lawyer, you know, being me, like it's kind of opposite. Like I'm more of like a mediator. Like I'm not trying to like fight people on my show. You know, I want to make it. I like to say that it's casual and comfortable in conversation. I want to highlight the good things that people are doing. And, you know, show how they're doing these distinct and important things in our legal community. And that really is what fulfills me, not like battling somebody on like a, you know, like a talk show. It's just not who I am.
You want to be more on the side of like the good news movement than reporting everything.
There's enough of that other stuff.
I think that's so interesting that you shared I don't know if I've told you this, but my legal background is interesting in that I'm the daughter of a federal prosecutor. And so my whole life, I experienced the legal space as like you wear a suit and tie and you go to work and you go to a courtroom every single day. Like that's just, and you know, in a very big brick building, like that's just what it is. And then, you know, and I even interned at his office in high school, I believe. And then fast forward to my corporate career, and I spent 14 years inside of a legal marketing agency in a building with 7,000 other people, part of like a, you know, many thousands of global company. And because we were only serving the legal space, I'm bumping into people all day, every day who are lawyers. Like they went to school, law school, and they graduated, and they don't wear a suit and tie and go to a courtroom. Like they're writing marketing copy, or they're,
Oh, okay. Yep.
answering phone calls, or, from on a help desk, or developing products. And it was so mind blowing to me. And, to your point of like a non-linear legal journey, it
So you're
was.
saying you had lawyers in there who were doing like marketing, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Or
Okay.
product development
Yep.
or research. And just so it, yeah, I think I perhaps led a very sheltered life growing up, of like my view of what
Yeah.
was done when you have a law degree. I, in
Well,
fact, thought I would be a lawyer one day, following my dad's footsteps, but turns out I didn't want to do more school when I got done with
yeah. Well, I
college.
mean, it's not too off the way thinking about the profession like that, because, if you think about a doctor, like they go to medical school and usually it's just always
Yeah.
practicing medicine unless you're doing research or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A dentist is always going to be like
Mm-hmm.
go to dental school and be the dentist. I mean,
Yeah.
lawyers, one thing about another layer of lawyer stories is that a lot of the attorneys that I speak to and just in general have these amazing stories, like whether they're like an immigrant from like another
Mm-hmm.
country who ended up being an immigration lawyer, and sometimes they only become an immigration lawyer, excuse me, but a criminal defense attorney, or somebody who was in fact a criminal, just like turned their life around and became a criminal defense attorney.
Mm.
Somebody who dropped out of high school and that has a big personal injury for. I mean, there are a
Yeah.
lot of interesting journeys, and I think with other professions, people could have an interesting journey, but I don't know, like the purpose might end up being like, or the end result might be a little bit different, and they're definitely gonna go into, I think, most like the other profession.
Mm.
There's a lot of people who just get the JD, and some don't even sit for the bar, and some just are doing different things. Um, as you
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah. No, it was eye opening. I want to shift gears for a second and talk about this book I just read called The Gap and the Gain. And I it was kind of about how entrepreneurs have this tendency to kind of look at the ideal and measure themselves against the goal, instead of like looking backwards at how far they've come. And
Yeah.
so we started this family dinner table tradition recently, where we share 3 wins from that day, and 3 wins we're forecasting for the next day. And I think it really helps kind of to get grounded in like how far we've come. And in that light, I'm wondering if you would share a recent win, whether it's business or personal or lawyer stories, that you're particularly proud of.
A recent win that I'm proud
Mm-hmm.
of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh, it,
I'm
so
stumping you. I like
you
this.
are. So I'm sorry. I'm a little burnt from the day. No, but
We
from
are
the
doing
day.
this at 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah, no,
You're so
I
nice
think
to be on so
I
late.
think, thinking about the Miami event, I think that for me, like business wise, like that was a success. Being
Yeah.
able to go full circle and continue the year and be consistent.
Because
We
you had
did
done
like
it last year too, right?
right. We did it
Okay.
last year, like earlier in the month, and then we moved on to a bigger place. We had sponsors, which were incredible, and then
Awesome.
so it's grown. And I think like seeing that, like seeing my like vision come to
Mm,
life in a way like that was like
yeah.
a big win for me, and like everybody like having a good time. That was definitely like a big win. Um,
Yeah.
so that
Do
I'd
you
have to say that.
do you have you had members of your lawyer stories community come to you after the events and share like anything that came of it from them, like whether it was connections or gratitude or just they had a good time? What kind of feedback have you been getting?
Yeah, I mean, I think people obviously they meet each other. One of the prompts that we have is to share your story with somebody that you don't
Mm,
know. Like share your
so
lawyer story,
good.
get out there and like talk
Yeah.
and meet somebody new, like in the spirit of like lawyer stories. Like I don't want it to be any old like networker type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think people I mean, I've heard like a couple. the word influencer, okay, like a couple bigger influencers who were there tell me like they can't wait for the next one, like let me know where it is, and like this was one of the best events that they've been to. So I get feedback like that. And I'm still, I'm still developing it. It's only been like a year that we've been doing them. So I'm a believer that things evolve. It doesn't have to be perfect right from the beginning. Like
so good.
things are gonna evolve, right? So just like still my podcast, like I want to have a dangling like microphone like you do, you know what I'm saying? So like things evolve, like, and that's okay. But I do get some decent feedback from people. They had a great time, and they're taking pictures and that sort of thing.
Oh,
that answered your question.
That's good. Yeah, and it is I find that to be common amongst entrepreneurs who've built communities like you have, that there's almost this groundswell where they're being asked to put on the event, like that their people are wanting to get together with each other and with you, the kind of the leader, the host. Yeah. So
I tell people, look, I'll make myself available for photos. It's all good. I'll be able to take a photo with you. That's a joke. Okay.
I do like that you have like a pre-planned way for people to talk to one another, because I find that when people enter a room, they're asking themselves the question, how do I fit in? And you've answered that for them by giving them a prompt of like, okay, this is what you do, is you're going to go up to somebody you don't know and share your lawyer story with them. And then by doing that with everybody, they know like, oh, people are just expecting that conversation starter. So it's not going to be awkward for me to go and do that. And I'm always touched by hosts that have been thoughtful like that, because being an introvert myself and going to an event as someone who's not organizing the event is kind of like some on the list of the top things I would not want to do.
Yeah. Well, it also helps that usually there's an open bar, so that also helps.
It does help. So, do you? I love your philosophy that you shared around evolving, and because a lot of people don't give themselves that grace and think that it all has to happen and it has to happen at this one. And
that's
I'm like,
exactly right.
Let's put it in the parking lot, like put it in the Good Ideas parking lot, and know that it might not be this event, but it's going to be at a next event where you'll be able to implement that. And where do you think that comes from? Your ability to just be like, it's okay to do it messy or not as like big or as, I don't know, as you might want it to be.
Well, that's a great question, Sarah, and I'll tell you the answer. It's loving the journey. If you love the journey that you're on, like when I did this as a passion project, and like I had this nice little like squares of all these lawyers and their stories, I was like, this is so fun. And I was getting all these emails and just like posting one after another every day, every couple of days.
Yeah.
And I was loving the journey, and it grew. It went to like I went to a video. I tried putting a video on it for the first time. I shared my story after posts, and it evolved. And when you love the journey, like if things are going to evolve, you're willing to take time with it. So for me, I started this as a passion project, like I said, on Instagram, 2017. So it's not like I was starting like a retail store or like a candy store or like a pizza shop, which is like, all you want things to happen right away. I was starting like this different sort of thing that I wasn't really sure what it was, and it developed into a community, and I love community, and we're still rolling along and we're going slow. And the events have been good, but I know that they can still grow and there's area for growth, but that's okay. I'm willing to give it the time because I love the process.
But like, who taught you to love the process? Like, that's not
Gary V. No, but he used to talk about that. But the thing is is like, those aren't only words, because I apply it to my own life. Like, and it's like, wow, like that makes so much sense. Like, that's why I'm able to just like stick it, like stick with it and just be consistent. And by the way, like consistency doesn't mean seeing the same results every day, the same good results.
Mm,
Like consistency can be like, okay, like I just posted something and bombed. Like I'll try again tomorrow and just keep doing it. You have to just keep at it. The biggest thing that you don't see with people who are entrepreneurs, who want to be entrepreneurs, who want it right now, like like 5 seconds from when they start, is consistency. And then you have people who have good ideas and they don't execute.
mm,
So you have to obviously execute your idea, but you also have to be patient, have consistency. So in order to have patience and consistency, you have to love what you do. You have to love the journey, appreciate it. And I think that that's what goes a long way in being successful.
Was this modeled to you growing up, this entrepreneurial, like love the journey kind of spirit?
Not really, no.
No, because I certainly didn't. I'm not from a family of
No, I mean,
entrepreneurs. So I,
look, my sister is very like entrepreneurial. She, she's a writer, she's a painter, and so she lived in Portland, Oregon for a while,
ah,
and she did her thing. But I think I've been the one ultimately to just keep going with it.
mm,
Like I said, it's very personal. It like kind of meant a lot to me. Like, I make sure I thank everybody for anything they ever contribute to Lawyer Stories.
mm-hmm,
It's not a copycat platform. One thing I really pride myself on is getting the emails of the stories, like
mm,
people submitting their story, me not taking something that I didn't ask for
mm-hmm,
or wasn't submitted. Like I literally like get emails from everybody.
mm-hmm,
And so that's just me. I don't know. Like I knew that there was sort of like more for me to be doing,
mm,
my contributions to the legal field,
yeah.
and this is it.
Yeah. So I'm sensing self-taught. And is it for you, is it like books or podcasts or uh, social? Like where do you get that encouragement to keep going?
I don't know. I think right now it's my family, to be honest. Like I just kind of like, I mean, I started like several years ago, but I think I want to set a good example
Mm,
and work as hard as I can,
mm,
honestly, for people, like everybody, like for my family. And I enjoy it. Like when you enjoy something, why not do it? Like, somebody says, if you love your job, like it won't feel like you're working a day in your life, that sort of thing. I mean,
yes.
cliches are real though, right? Like they're
Yes.
real. So it's sort of, I do this isn't my full-time job, and I've
Yeah.
been at it for a while, but it started as a passion project. But I work like morning, noon, and night. In morning to do a post. During my lunch, I'll prepare for a podcast. And at night, I'll record.
Yeah.
My kids are sleeping after 8:30, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So that literally, um, and it's great. It's fulfilling to meet everybody that
Yeah.
I'm meeting.
I know my daughter sees me record and we talk like, oh, I'm going to do an interview now. And, so it's a part of it and she's encouraging. And what do your kids say? I don't know how old they are. Are they old enough to know what you're doing and be
Yeah, oh,
cheering
yeah.
you
So
on?
my son is 5, my daughter's 2.
Okay.
But my 5-year-old, he's, oh, Daddy, you have a podcast tonight? I come down in my like uniform. I'm like, I'm going to work, guys. Because I have the little mini studio
Yeah.
downstairs, and like he knows. He's like, oh, you got a podcast, and like just, well, how long's your podcast going to be? So he gets it. I
Yeah.
mean, he's with it. He knows what we're doing down here.
Oh, that's
And
so
he's
cool.
repping the brand. He has a hat, and I think he had a T-shirt. Might not fit him anymore,
Oh,
but
I love that.
yeah, he knows what's up. He knows what's up. I don't know if he knows what we're chatting about all the time,
Right.
but
Yeah. No, it's a
he
little
will.
young. Oh, that's
He gets a
cool.
little young. It's all right.
That's so neat.
I'm actually thinking about giving him one of my tort books or one of my law books to try to read, but a couple, maybe in a few days. I don't know.
Yeah, my daughter loves like time when we read together, but I don't think I would be able to float a law book past her. She'd be like, no, let's do something more interesting. All right, let's have a little fun and talk about the future, maybe a little brainstorming. So, you've done a lot of the smaller networking style events and you've got momentum there and
Mhm.
definitely impacting lives in that sense. And I feel like I saw somewhere that you're launching a membership maybe. What's next? What's
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
horizon for Lawyer Stories? Is there a Lawyer Stories conference?
What's a Lawyer Stories
Is there a
conference?
conference?
She put together, developed by Sarah Farr. I said that right too, right?
Paper, yep. It's like paper, but with
Okay.
F's. It's so
And
darn tricky. It's check.
so I yes, we are launching Lawyer Stories Connect,
Tell
which
me
it's on the
more.
Mighty Net.
Tell me
It's on
more.
Mighty Networks. I
Okay.
don't know if you're familiar with
I've heard of
Mighty
it.
Networks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the platform ready to go. We have lawyers in there. We're going to start with like 10 or 12 people. It's going to be we're going to network people and try to bring them value, like try to, where I also have like a director of education and people who want to teach. So they're going to do like 30 to 40-minute, like,
Yeah.
lessons on like anything from entrepreneurial stuff to like, like law stuff, like
Yeah.
whatever, how to build your business. And then, so we're going to put that right in Mighty Network. We're going to do things. It's free to register, but obviously there's going to be a cost if you want like the benefits. So it's like a freemium,
Mm.
but we're going to do, you're going to get your digital badge, which everybody likes, a plaque. We already have the plaque design.
Nice.
You're going to get, put your blog post on our website. You submit them to us. We're going to do welcome posts if you go on social media. We're going to do like your podcasts, the whole package for a good discount. We're going to do virtual roundtables so people can talk about their firms and whatnot. And then I think hopefully some of these events we're having will be a part of it as well. So that'll, if people are in the area and they want to go to those events, but there's more to it. I don't have the list in front of me, but we're going to try to add value to people's life. It's not going to be a crazy killer for expense, but trying to put it all together. It's been in the works for like a year because it takes, I
Yes.
limited on time, very limited on time, but I'm very passionate about it. I've had the logo, I have, everything that I need to get going. And I'm going to start it with like an inaugural class of probably 10 to 12 people.
Mm.
We're going to be vendor. We have some great partners that we've been working with. That's another thing, partner discounts. And yeah, hopefully like people will join the community.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because I mean, it
Thank
just
you.
like it is who you are to connect people, and now you're kind of taking like allowing listeners to have a place to congregate. Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is the part of the podcast where I give you any event strategy or event logistics advice.
Nice.
Are there any challenges that you'd want to brainstorm or talk through or get advice on? Any question that's been on your mind?
Yeah, actually, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
When you have a networking event, say it's 3 hours, and you have sponsors, financial sponsors, and it goes towards like the venue, the bars.
Oh yeah, such a good idea.
So when you have that, what's your opinion on charging your guests? Because I've found a few different things. I don't know if this is something I should talk about off the podcast with you, but I would like to get your opinion on, do you do like sort of a $20 thing just so it's still something, or because you want to gauge how many people you're going to have, right? Or else tons of people that take tickets and not in.
Yeah. So I think that is important. So people, they say people pay, they pay attention, right? And
of course.
So
yes.
When you have people pay, then you're able to change your show up rate, right? Because it's going to be naturally lower if it's free, and it's going to be a little bit higher if it's paid. And so you're not talking about anything like that is, I would call a price point that would put too much friction between them and the decision to come. I mean, it's like the cost of a drink, right? And
well, I mean, if you're doing like a 3-hour networker and you've gotten financial support from sponsors
to cover your costs, essentially,
is it still acceptable to charge like $20 a ticket?
Oh, for sure. For sure it is. And I think then that helps you, because then you'd be able to give sponsors a better estimate of a head count. it
Right.
helps you set up the venue a little bit better, knowing like, okay, we got this many that are planning to come, and they've paid, which means, like I said, they'll pay attention. So just to give you a little bit of like math here, the show up rate for in person, if it's free, can be in that 50 to 75 or 50 to 70% range. And if it's paid, it's 70 to 90.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now it might be
That's super. That's so it is acceptable, even if a sponsor gives you money to cover like the bar and the venue
yeah.
to pocket, like, not pocket, but it's actually more of a way to get people to guarantee that or raise the likeliness that they're going to show up.
Yeah. It's also acceptable to
Okay.
make money.
Yeah. No, I know.
just so you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of earned it by putting in. I know it is it does take a little bit of time to put out a weekly show, doesn't it? And so
Yeah.
it's okay
Yeah.
to earn money from doing that and do it in this type of a way. And I don't think
Yep.
it's unreasonable to even put 20, and it's not like I mean, you could even do more, but yeah, I actually don't think it's you're conflating two things that aren't relevant to each
Okay.
other. Like,
So
can I
here's the
charge
thing.
and and I have sponsors is not like that.
Okay. So
You can
I
have
was
both.
never. I'm finding these things as I go, and this is back to the evolution thing. Like, I was never in the marketing space.
Sure. Okay.
I was never in the event space, and then these things come up,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, well, what's like, I consider myself to be somebody of like high integrity, and like I don't
Yeah.
want to screw anybody over, and I want
Yeah.
people to get a lot of value for whatever they put in. So, I find myself sort of like, okay, is this acceptable? And they're like little questions too,
Yeah.
like, but I'm not an event person.
Yep.
I'm not I love going to events. I'm not like a marketer.
Yeah.
So this is actually very helpful, Sarah.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I think so. There's this whole space where people, monetize their thought leadership. They monetize what they know. They monetize kind of their influence in a way, which is what you're doing. And I think there's entire kind of rule books, if you were playbooks on how this works, and you're not breaking any rules because there aren't any if you're doing both charging and
Because
getting
I wasn't
sponsors.
sure if a sponsor would be like, the hell are you charging for? We want to get as many
No,
people as we can here.
I was on. I mean, get this. I was on with a client who was a podcaster earlier today, and we're planning out a podcast tour, and
Awesome.
we're not only charging to go to the event, we're also charging sponsors to have a presence at the event. We're going to charge for swag that they can buy at the event. We're going to make an offer from stage of, in your case, it would be like your membership or a higher level coaching program. We're going to monetize in lots of ways. We're going to, sell tickets to the event. So there's you can monetize before, during, and after the event, and you're not restricted to one way. And because if you come out a little bit ahead of your costs, I actually say good on you, right? Because we're not in the business to lose money. And so, no, what sponsors want is FaceTime with your community, right? In a way that feels really, organic and natural and not salesy. And you're creating that environment. And, you said something about like, well, I don't want to be a person who, doesn't deliver any value. Well, you're not that person. So you're not at risk of that happening.
No. I just want people to get as much as possible.
Absolutely.
As much as.
So
I tell people like, I could put you in front of the right people. You have to be the salesperson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's.
But I mean, the value for your community and being there, that's on you, and you get to develop what that looks like for them. And for future ones, it might even be helpful for you to talk to a few of the people who have been and be like, well, what would you love? Because I can probably make it happen for you. And you just got to tell me what it is. And
yeah.
And then you're able to if that's on your heart, that's a desire, I want to just create as much value as possible for my community because they're showing up for me in the Lawyer Stories brand, then figure out what they want and then go figure out how to make that happen for them. Yeah. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
so hopefully that helped. Was that helpful for you to hear?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Totally.
Awesome.
Totally.
As
Okay.
we wrap up here, I've got another question for you to wrap on. So I really value lifelong learning, and I subscribe to the school of thought that we have to design our own curriculum with intention. And so I'd love to know 3 parts. What are you reading right now? And why did you pick that book? And then what's one thing you learned so far? And it would be okay if you said, Sarah, I'm not reading anything right now.
So there's a Sports Illustrated. No,
because I see your face.
I'm gonna give a shout out to. Actually, I just recently finished a book.
Okay.
I really don't. I mean, it's okay. That's a good question. Okay, so the book "Who's in the Waiting Room"
Ooh.
By Neil Goldstein.
Yeah.
Giving him a shout out. He was on my podcast. It's a great book. He very inspirational attorney, dropped out of high school because of like issues. His mom was sick, his dad left, and he made it through junior college to college to law school, like just himself.
Wow.
Like really
Yeah.
like unbelievable story. I actually had dinner with him like a few months ago. Great guy. He came up here. So that's a book I definitely like recommend to everybody.
And is it like his kind of
it's like a memoir.
Okay.
Memoir.
Oh, neat.
Autobiography, but it's also his story.
Okay.
And he also talked about sharing your story, and the how important that is. But he's a really good guy. And very genuine. He talks about genuine and authentic relationships and how that has helped him in his life. So that's a book I just finished.
Nice.
I do have one that I want to start.
Okay.
It's like right upstairs, and I just haven't. I don't want to say I don't have time to read, but come on, like really, like.
You have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. You have like an automatic pass.
And actually, what book it is? It's a book that was sent to me by somebody who's on my podcast. Because these are the relationships that I've started to build with people. So shout out to Anthony Beneducci, attorney in New York City. But it's an old school book. It's how to make friends and win.
Oh, is it how to make friends and influence people?
Yes, that's it. So I have the hard copy. He sent it to me. I want to start reading.
Or how to win friends and influence people.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
I have that on my shelf. Oh no, I'm thinking of the other one. How to talk to anyone, anytime, anywhere, and it's by Larry King. Don't laugh. If you were an introvert like me and going to like a networking thing would like be the scariest thing ever, that book is solid gold. In fact, I need to reread it.
Just sounded intense, but you could also just head right to the bar.
To the bar. Such good advice, Benny.
No, I'm just kidding.
The whole thing about stories had an idea pop into my head. Do you follow Bo Eason by chance? No. He's in the online coaching space around sharing your story. And yeah, he might be interesting for you to follow. Nice. He's got such a great message around story. Well, Benny, what I would love to know last is what have you got going on right now that we should know about, and where can Linchpin Nation find you and Lawyer Stories?
Probably at the dinner table right now, you mean? Or
what's for dinner?
With my kids?
Yeah. What's for dinner?
I don't know. Like we just
we're having leftovers.
I smell it. We ordered a couple Caesar salads and a little pizza for the kids.
All right. Good.
So what okay, where can they find me now?
Yes. You still on Instagram? Under what handle?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. All right, thanks. So Instagram, I'm trying to build up the LinkedIn business community.
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok's been sort of a slow go, but that's all right. I'll keep trying. We have a website, thelawyerstories.com. Okay. Anybody has a blog post, including yourself, Sarah, that you want to put up on our on our website, that'd be amazing. And, we're just trying to be everywhere,
And
basically, get attention. Attention is what wins, I
it
think.
does.
So,
And it's at Lawyer Stories on all of those platforms, right?
lawyer_stories.
Stories. Okay, cool. I'll link all that up in the show notes. And the name of your membership that you're launching, what's that going to be called?
Lawyer Stories Connect.
Okay, cool. Benny, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Greenroom Central podcast. If you loved this episode, then please take a screenshot on your phone and post it to Instagram, and be sure to tag at Sarah Pfeiffer and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear or who you'd like to hear from in the future. That'll help me know what to create for you. The number one thing I'm asked by CEOs, whether it's their first event or their 20th, is, Sarah, how do I get more butts in seats? And so I put together a guide for you. Head over to fillingevents.com for your free copy of 107 ways to fill your event. I want to help you quickly master event marketing and fill your events, even if you've never done it before. I've scoured the online business world and found 107 of my favorite strategies working right now to fill your next in-person or virtual event. Create the event promotion plan you need from these easy-to-implement, customizable strategies for free over at fillingevents.com. I appreciate your commitment to leveling up and learning the mindset and strategy of live events. Keep going. Keep learning. If you want more, head over to greenroomcentral.com for show notes and all the links from today's episode.